Hi, so I'm going to show you guys how I plant potatoes because I'm really cheap. So the first thing I do, I got a couple of leftover plastic bags from the olden days, and I just use a pot or a container to kind of line them up and put them all so the handles are all together. And you know, sorry this is shaky, but I usually triple them because it's going to end up being heavy by the time you're done. So I triple them up. I put 3 bags in there, and now I have this little pot of bags. And the next thing I do is I get some dirt, and I've got some dirt here. Let me move my containers out of the way. So I've got some dirt here. Now, we're starting them out in a small space, but we're going to end up with these bags completely full of dirt with a full plant inside. So to start, I've got these little planter potatoes. Hang on, let me find a good one. Here's a really good one. See that? That's just a piece of a red potato that has an eye that has grown out into a shoot. Your old potatoes, you can take them and then you cut them so that each has a little shoot sticking out of the piece. Try to get at least a quarter of the potato onto that piece. These were baby potatoes. And then into my bag, I'm gonna get a handful of dirt. Just a handful, just a little dirt. It's very windy out. No, not the seeds. Okay, the seeds have been saved. So it's just a handful of dirt. It's really hardly any dirt at all. I'm gonna put that potato on top of that dirt, and then I'm going over here, and you can use more dirt, but because it's a small space, I use, am I getting this? This is worm poop. Quite literally, worm cast. And I'm just going to cover the potato with one little bit of it. So right now there's about a solid handful of dirt in this bag. And now I'm going to bring it over here with one I started 2 weeks ago. And I'll show you this. You see, this is the potato plant. So I'm going to put this one over here next to my gnome friend. That was my grandmother's gnome. And this already has some green growing. You can see it's a full plant. It's fully growing into a full plant inside these crappy old bags. So I'm just going to take this. I'm putting it back right now because it's easier to do this on the ground. And I'm literally just going to take enough dirt to cover most of the leaves. Not even all the leaves. I'll leave a couple sticking out. So I need a good shovel full of dirt. Let's go through my crappy yard here. Where do I have my shovel? Where did I put it? I'm a mess. Here we go. Get a shovel. Find some dirt. Luckily, I prepped some dirt. I was digging this bed earlier. There's going to be some plants in there. I already planted some things and got my beans and peas out. So I'm going to get a good shovelful here of just, you know, whatever kind of dirt. It's already got that worm cast in it. So it's already been fertilized. That stuff is really good fertilizer. And then I'm going to come over to my bag and I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. I'm doing it one-handed. Just dump as much of that dirt in there as you can and cover up all of the new growth on that potato. I'm going to prop this up for a minute so I can show a little better what I'm doing two-handed here. So I've got all that dirt and I've put it in the bag, and I've covered up almost all the new growth of green that you can see from that previous potato. And then you get the bags, and this one's big enough now that I can get it covered really well. Kind of compress the bags a little. This one's big enough now that I can hang it up. Once they get to a certain size, you can take one of the sides of the handle and you can actually just hang this somewhere and start filling it up with dirt there. Where do I get to hang this? I think I'm going to hang it from our tree for now. And then see here. It looks really crappy. I mean, it looks terrible. It's really ugly. It's ugly as fuck, but my entire garden is ugly as fuck because I reuse everything. Everything's garbage that's being used to a purpose. If I have cardboard left over from deliveries, it goes down on the ground to kind of block weeds. If I have weeds, I try to dig them up to save money, but these are pigweed. These are terrifying. I fucking hate them. And I actually bought some weed killer for them, and it looks like it fertilized them, so I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to dig those up. That's going to be a really long day. But yeah, I reuse everything. So plastic bags, they work really well. I'll leave this up here probably for another week. When I refill it again, I might move it somewhere else in the garden. I've got some of these bike rack hanger things on the fence over there that I think will make a really good hanging potato garden. Actually, maybe I'll just put it over there to start with. Why am I wasting time with this tree? It just looks, nice on the tree for the camera. So we've got these like bike rack things. Here's my lilac, doing really good. So I've got these bike rack things. They're not hanging on super well, but they're certainly solid enough for me to hang a potato from. And then there's my hanging potato. And again, this is only the second time I've put dirt in here. Next week I'll water it every few days, keep it a little bit damp, and then in about a week this plant will actually be sticking out of the bag, and I'll put more dirt until there's just like that many leaves sticking out again. And I'll do that once a week until the bag is completely full. There's Lulu. She's helping. She's the garden helper. Up. Go up. No. They're early potatoes. They're the little red potatoes. So they take about 60 to 75 days total. They don't take long at all. You can even pull them out when they're babies. As soon as the bag bulges, it's full of dirt, and then it starts to bulge and want to tear, I just rip it down, take it down, rip it apart, pull all the potatoes. It's just full of potatoes. That's why. Don't do this in a ceramic pot. It'll break it. Do it in something that can bulge and stretch. Anyway, I'll do it for 2 months or so. When it starts to tear or stretch out, I'll rip it open, take all the potatoes out, and I'll put the dirt in my little turtle zone here where all the succulents and crocuses are growing. And it'll actually be good fertilizer, all the cut up potato plant. And so the new one is over with the gnome. The old one is hanging on the bike rack. I've got the watering system to set up this week. And then, oh God, there's a shot for posterity. Anyway, so that's how I grow potatoes. I'll go over tomatoes in 2-liter bottles later this week too, in case anyone wants to see that. That's a whole different process, and it requires a little piece of cloth and obviously a 2-liter bottle, and I'm out of those. So that's potatoes.